This is my Minecraft base. It is just a treehouse that is built into a large oak wood tree. And I am going to attempt to make the main part of the base, right there, out of Lego. And this is heavily inspired, and I'm going to make it in the style of Cheesy Studios Lego Minecraft mocks. So check out his channel if you haven't already. And I'm gonna start building it. So before I start actually making the base, I need to make what's inside of the base, more specifically the chest. And the design I'm gonna use is pretty simple. It's basically just, a 2x2 brick with a black plate and some tiles on top. And it's the same for this one. And these ones are actually made to be upside down because they're going to be held to the roof with snot bricks. And it's basically 2 double chests and then another double chest to the side of it. I also made a few vines. I didn't make too much because I didn't want it to be too distracting from the actual build. And a tree trunk, and the bricks have these grooves on it to represent the wood's texture, and I think it looks really good. And there's a ladder on it. I'm gonna get pieces that extend out a little bit, but they're gonna take about 2 weeks to get here. And some other objects I will include are 2 lanterns that are going to be at the front of the base, a loom, a stone cutter, which is going to be embedded into the ground. So it's a slab, a crafting table at the bottom near the floor. And this is supposed to be my character, because my character is a hot dog. I don't know why, I just saw it and then I chose it. This cat will also be included, and a creeper just to give it some more life. This is going to be the right wall of the treehouse, and there's going to be furnaces here and some on top of here. I have tiles on them right now because I don't know if they're just going to be like sitting there or if I'm going to connect them with bricks, because this top part is going to be using bricks sideways leaves. So I don't know what I'm going to do with those. And on the bottom, I used 2 8x2 plates, so there's no anti-studs showing. And there's going to be a window there, but I'm going to use brown parts sideways, like across here and above it. And then I'm going to have the window like here, and these beside it. This one isn't going to have any detail because it's going to be covered by furnaces, but this one isn't, so it's going to be there. This is going to be here. And then the stone cutter is going to go here, but it's going to be embedded into the floor. And then I think the loom is going here. And then there's going to be a chest, I think here. There's a chest on 2 sides, I'm pretty sure. So that's what it's somewhat gonna look like. 1, of my pick-a-brick orders just came in. Not all of this is for the Minecraft mod. I got some, like 20 of these for an apartment complex mod. And then I have a whole bunch of green stuff, a lot of green tiles. There's one right here. Plates, really useful. There's a few animals, 2 cats and 1 dog. But this is only half of the order. The rest of it should come in about 2 weeks. This is a cobblestone block, and this is a gravel block. And the cobblestone block mainly uses dark bluish gray pieces with some round tiles in light gray. And on the path in the base, it only shows the top texture. And the top texture is basically just going to be this, but this is a tile. And this one, the gravel block, actually has a top texture. It uses a grill piece, a square tile, and a circle tile. And I use the grill piece because it gives a lot of texture, and I have a whole lot of them. And this is what they look like on the base. As you can see, this is the gravel, cobblestone, more cobblestone, more cobblestone, even more cobblestone. And some of the cobblestone just use a circle piece like this one. And, you know, just the rest of it is just dark bluish gray. But some of them have 2 circle pieces like this one, and then 2 square pieces. And some of them even have a rounded off piece right here to give it even more texture. And the gravel, some of them actually just have 2 squares, but the rest of them mainly have at least 1 circle piece. And this is what the rest of it looks like. As you can see, there are some stairs here that lead down to a mine, but I haven't really made a mine yet. And the stairs look like this on their own. I used the back of a masonry brick to give it some texture, and I used a snot bracket piece to make it look like a perfect stair from the game. This is the tree trunk, and on the base, the logs are actually stripped, and that is because I accidentally stripped one, and when you strip one, you strip them all. So, but for the mock, I'm going to be using regular logs because they look better, and to make them, I'm going to be using these pieces in brown, and this one is only 2 blocks long, but the rest of them are going to be 3 blocks long, and basically using the same design. And I haven't tiled it all off yet, and that is because not all of the pieces have gotten here, and I'm going to get more of these, but I've already gotten all of these that I need. And I also made some amethyst using some circular pieces, some rounded off tiles, and 2x1 tiles, all in purple. Do you notice anything different about this? If you don't, then you weren't paying attention to pretty much any of the video. But what's different about it is that the parts have finally got here after 5 weeks. But, you know, your time, it was 2 seconds. So, I have the wood texture has finally got here, and these pieces have finally got here. I got like 10 of them, and it's probably going to be enough. But now I can actually start getting some real progress done on the build. So not only does the new parts allow me to add texture to the logs, which will make the build look really good, it also allows me to add, you know, this log and this log, which you know, they have the log texture, as you can see here and here. Looks really good. It also allows me to make the ladder a little bit more 3D, and it's just that tiny little bit of detail that makes the build look really good. And I tiled it all off. But I also made it a little bit smaller, and this is because, you know, the leaves on the tree, there's like a whole ton of leaves because the tree I made my tree house in isn't a small tree. It isn't a normal one. It's like one of those giant ones that takes forever to take down. So I'm gonna need a lot of tiles for the leaves on that. So I decided to shorten this by about 2 blocks. And it shouldn't affect the looks because there was literally nothing back here. It was just a patch of grass. And it's not going to affect the build's stability either because the treehouse extends out this way and it only extends out this way by like a few blocks. So I think it should be fine and I made the right decision. Hopefully I can finish this with the amount of parts that I have. So I have managed to make a whole lot of progress on the base and it's looking really good. And this part is going to be completely covered with leaves. So I don't have to make this part look good, but I might have to add some like snot bricks or like something sticking out to actually attach the leaves in the future. But I did add a little bit of leaves right there. And I didn't add that much texture to any of these logs right here. And that is because most of this is going to be covered by leaves. This back part and this part is going to be basically completely covered with leaves. And the top is going to be completely covered with leaves. But the front and this side is going to have practically no leaves on it because that's how my Minecraft base really is. And the technique I used for this part is actually really cool because I used, I guess you could kind of call them Technic bricks. It's basically just a 2x1 brick with like a little hole in it for a Technic pin to go into. And I used that here, here, and here. I'm honestly pretty surprised that I had that many bricks like that, but I ended up having enough, and it could have had more texture, but there's nothing really I could do about it, and it turned out pretty good. And the interior also turned out really well. The furnaces turned out exactly how I hoped they would be. Not attached, no studs on the bottom, looking really well. Oh, there's a hair there. That's not good. Got it. And as you can see, I did embed the stone cutter, and I think the design I did for the loom is pretty good. And the trapdoor right there, I wanted to make it able to open, but then when I tried to do that, I realized it didn't really look very good. So I just made it not able to open, and it still looks pretty good, just less functional. And the functionality is pretty useless because a minifigure can't even fit through it. And I also added a torch right there. Oh, there it is, right there. I think my torch design is really good. And Cheesy Studios design is just a paintbrush, which is actually like really interesting and really cool. But when I went on the Lego website, the paintbrush was only in green, which is kind of weird. So I used kind of a clip piece and one of these minifigure accessory pieces. It is used for when Spider-Man is holding a web, and I think this is just looking really good. And it will look even better when it's up on the tree. That is, if it's sturdy enough. because whenever I try to pick this up, it wants to fall apart, like it's suicidal or something. So I don't know what I'm gonna do about that, but I'll figure out something, I hope. So, like a few minutes ago, I realized that I was using a very old copy of the world to take screenshots on. So I made a much newer copy of the world, and there's not too many differences, but it's just a tad bit different. Like the leaves and stuff are a little bit different, and I want to make it as accurate as possible, but I also want to make it look good. So stuff that looks bad, like the logs being stripped, I'm gonna change and stuff like that. But it's still not going to be too much of a change, and it's still going to be very accurate. So I think it's going to be fine. And looking at it now, I think the base, the interior of the base and stuff like that hasn't changed too much, and I actually made it very, very accurate to the game. And I'm just really liking how it looks. And also, this strip log is not supposed to be there. It's not supposed to be stripped. So different changes like that I'm going to make, and this is a much better way of doing things. So with my much newer and much more efficient way of building things, I'm able to add a lot more things and make it much more accurate. And some of the things I'm able to add are this fence right here, this fence post with a torch on it, this cobblestone block on top of a moss block instead of just stone, these 3 pieces of sugarcane by a small little block of water, moss here, here, and here, and a little bit more cobblestone right there. I also added sniffers, and in my Minecraft base there isn't actually a sniffer and a baby sniffer. I just thought I would add them because I made them and I made tutorials on them. So I just figured I'd put them in the mock, and they look really good here. And I might actually add sniffers in my Minecraft base now. I'm giving myself a lot of good ideas. But I still have a lot more to do. Well, not really a lot more. Pretty much just the leaves, but the leaves is a lot. So I'm gonna go work on the leaves now, and I really hope it goes well. So quite a bit of progress has been done, not only on the leaves, but also on the house itself, because for some reason I forgot to put this part in it. I don't know how I forgot it, I just did. So I used a snot brick right here. Nope, the snot brick is right there. And then I attached it to the leaves, which is attached right here. So, and also I made the leaves very detachable, only being held on by gravity. So, if gravity were to ever stop working, so would this. I don't know why gravity would stop working though. And I'm pretty thankful for Isaac Newton right now. If he hadn't invented gravity, this would not be working. I also made this leaf part back here a little bit different, just a little bit more accurate to what is seen in the game. Here's this side. It is completely smooth, and I am just loving how it's looking, and the way it's going. It should be finished in about 2 days, maybe. But yeah, I only have the leaves left to do, and if I'm feeling fancy, if I really want to, I could add an ender chest and a campfire and an anvil, but I might add those. I just don't really think they're too important. And I also realized that the chests that are connected to here cover up all of that and all of the other side of the log too. So I don't have to put any detail into that, which means I can use the bricks that I used to get the detail in there in other places, which is, you know, really good. And I don't really know how I didn't realize that earlier, but this is looking really good and it's going really well. And I've also reinforced this just a little bit. I've connected these two parts and stuff, you know, just some little things to make it a little bit stronger. And I think it will be able to hold itself up on the small point that I'm attaching it to. However, I don't know how I'm going to attach it, so that's a future problem for a future me. And I'm going to go back to making more leaves. I have made quite a bit of progress on the leaves, and I think it's a pretty noticeable amount. I also put quite a bit of detail in there. It's quite large, and on this part it extends out like at least 3 blocks from like the treehouse itself, and then there's this part that's on the side of the treehouse. So I just put like a whole bunch of snot bricks right there. Probably just gonna put like a big plate there to cover it all up. And I'm just gonna attach a bunch of bricks there. And I don't know if it will be the sturdiest thing. I might have to attach more snot bricks to like the side of the treehouse wall. But I really hope I won't have to do that because, you know, it's very possible. It will just be really annoying to do. And all I really have left is the back part and the right side part. And everything else is pretty much done. And then that will be it. I have just achieved the impossible. I used 3 different vines, the big one and 2 of the smaller ones. Well, actually, I made this one a little bit bigger so it can support a little bit more weight. But as you can see, it is not sagging at all, and it still looks good, and it's still accurate to the game. So all I need to do is finish this back part right here, and then I'll be done after so much time of working on it. So next time you see me, it should be finished. Well, it should be. I might be lying, but I hope I'm not. So I have finished it. As you can see here, the part that I did not have done is now done. It's very accurate to how it looks in the game. From every angle, I included the sugarcane, the logs, the vines, which I wasn't too sure if I was going to include, but then I realized I have to include it or else it would fall and break. I even got my Minecraft skin, but I did change my Minecraft skin. So I guess I'll just put the old skin on there and, I think it looks pretty good still. And now that this is finally done, I can finally move on to other builds, and I can finally show it to my favorite YouTuber, Cheesy Studios.
Hey, this is Caleb from Cheesy Studios. I know you've been hard at work on this mock for quite some time now. It's always really cool to see people inspired by the custom LEGO Minecraft series and making builds like this, with the perfectly square dimensions to their building blocks. Doing trees in this style is especially difficult, and I'm really impressed with how you were able to pull that off here. Adding texture into the leaves, the 1x1s and dark greens is really nice too. In fact, I'd say there's really good texture all across the build, and I can tell you've made very effective use of relatively limited resources. There's a few things you could change to make it even better. Simply rotating those masonry bricks to the other side, so it looks more like an oak plank texture in game with just those horizontal lines would look awesome. Also, I wish I could see more of that awesome base. Next time you could use brighter colors for the base itself and maybe give it a chance to shine rather than hiding it in a tree. That being said though, the tree is probably my favorite part of the build, as I know just how much work goes into pulling that off. All around, great build, and I'm excited to see what you come up with next.
Well, I am very thankful that Cheesy Studios was able to give his opinion on my mock and even see it in the first place, as he was my inspiration for pretty much all of this. And I'm really glad that I could make my Minecraft base out of Lego, as it is really special to me. And I'm really thankful that you watched this video and maybe consider subscribing if you can.